So we have spent quite a bit of time to talk about the use of BIM to manage the information, which is part of the VDC framework. Now we are going to go on to look at how do we come up with a system so that the different trades, okay, the different groups of people that will be interacting with each other throughout the course of the project, how do they come together to interact in a more or collaborate in a more effective manner. So that will be the next part of our discussion. So under the Singapore VDC framework, they call it the ecosystem but actually is how do you manage all the different people that come together to do the project, right? You want to establish a ecosystem that foster collaboration, okay, in a very effective manner, right? So all the VDC implementation at any scale requires the management of people and stakeholders for different reasons. Yeah, one of the reasons could be the goal and the objective setting requires a project team to be clear and in agreement with what they want or need to work towards. Or the BIM is only as good as the information it contains. And this information needs to be obtained from the right people at the right time, provided to the right people at the right time. The success of adapting new and better processes requires a willing and consistent commitment from all the involved stakeholders. These are the reasons why you need to have a system to foster a closer collaboration. Okay, so the ecosystem not only involves people but also the environment. Also, that means when we are talking about the people or the ecosystem, okay, of course, people is one aspect, but you also involve the environment, okay, yeah, and also involve the platforms, okay, of communication and information sharing to enable them to collaborate closely. So this section will be talking about these three areas. Let's talk about the people or the stakeholders. The stakeholders are all team members who are to be involved in each activity during the different project phase or overall VDC implementation. These people may be project team stakeholders such as clients, consultants, contractors, or team members within an organization. Okay, so some of key principles will include these three. Okay, active commitment of all involved stakeholders and project team members to their roles, responsibility. That will be crucial in order for any VDC implementation to work. So in a organizational team setup, VDC is the responsibility or the responsible, okay, the whole team is responsible for the VDC, not just one department or one person. Yeah. Other organization team members may be needed to be trained, okay, on how to utilize the BIM model for their own work in order for them to enjoy the benefits, okay, or to on their own work process, okay, and to improve the overall team integration. Yeah. Now, in terms of the team type, you can have the project team versus the organizational team. Okay. So project team, okay, the project team holders consist of the clients, the consultants, the contractors, and the other project team members whose participation are required in the VDC process. Each of these stakeholders may have an active or passive participation depending on the level of involvement required of them at the different phases. Okay, so organization team stakeholders will consist of key levels of management, the key departments, and or project team members in a company or organization that is embarking on the VDC. Okay, so here it shows you clearly, okay, what is the difference between the project team as well as the organizational team. Typically, the project team will include the clients, okay, the different consultants or the different trades and the different contractors. Okay, most of the time we only have one client, okay, but there will be different trades or different consultants. Okay, there could be more than one, okay, contractors in a sense that you have the subcontractors, and sometimes your project team member can also include these manufacturers, okay, fabricators, okay, and some unusual situation it could be even the regulatory these officers. Okay, so what are the roles of the different these team members? For the client, okay, is supposed to recognize overall benefits of VDC, to the project and this business objective. Okay, that means reconcile them, right? Or the client will be the main driver of the VDC among the different project stakeholders. Yeah, or change management. Okay, respective of a targeted project timeline and this milestone. Okay, the client will be involved. Okay, or so for the consultants, okay, they need to recognize the benefits of the VDC, okay, to the individual processes and workflow, and they must be willing to cooperate, collaborate, and share information. Provide documents and models for submission and handover according to the required downstream use. Okay, for the contractors, they need to manage the information and the issues, okay, from the various stakeholders to develop a BIM model that is constructible. Okay, so they need to deliver. Okay, they probably will be part of the team that deliver the virtual model, but they will also need to deliver the actual project. Okay, or they need to fully utilize the model information to maximize the BIM in construction and bring the BIM to the construction site. Okay, now within each particular stakeholders, they will form their own organizational team, and the organizational team typically will include the people in the management, okay, people in the commercial area, and maybe the operational area lah. Okay, right. So the roles of the management, again, to recognize overall benefits of VDC to the corporate objectives. Okay, yeah. Main driver of the VDC in the entire organization, that is the management. Okay, set up corporate vision goals to move towards VDC implementation. Okay, so for the commercial area, okay, again, to recognize the benefits of the VDC to the individual processes and the workflow. Incorporate cooperate in integrating the BIM and VDC in project or departmental functions where feasible. Carry out these VDC corporate activities or directives in the project and at technical level. So for the operational side, the operational staff, they will provide the technical and skill support, okay, to the commercial group, right? Or smaller companies may have a BIM or VDC lead, okay, instead of a dedicated group. The different stakeholders, as you can see here, showing you the client, consultants, main contractor, subcontractors, quantity surveyor. They will have a different role to play, okay, throughout the project life cycle, okay, when you are having a VDC framework. Okay, for example, during the preliminary stage, the client will have to put up the VDC specification for the design consultants. Okay, yeah. In the design stage, the consultants will need to come in. Okay, they need to coordinate the design intent model. Okay, they need to make sure that the model can clear, okay, this regulatory requirement. So they need to also prepare for the e-submission. Yeah. The quantity surveyor will also come in during the design stage to provide the preliminary cost estimate so that the client can obtain the funding, right? So if it's a design, bid, and build, okay, so the contractor will come in at a later stage, you see. So that's why there needs to be a handover, okay, or the tender stage. So during this particular stage, okay, when the model is being transited, okay, or the project is being transited from the design site to the construction site, the client, okay, will need to again put in, okay, the VDC specification for the contractors and the subcontractors, plus maybe the fabricators, manufacturers, suppliers, and all that. Stipulate the release of the tender model. Okay, the consultants obviously will need to develop the tender model, okay, from the e-submission model to a sufficient level for the any bidders to be able to put in accurate bids, okay, for the project, right? So main contractor, okay, when he finally comes aboard, he will have to take the tender model, okay, for this BIM-based tender estimate, planning, and the tender presentation, right? And quantity surveyors basically will provide input on the tender model, okay, organization and information, do a tender analysis, then after that propose the award, right? So once you go on to the construction stages, okay, a lot more activities or responsibilities for the different trades lah. So the client will need to stipulate the handover model, okay, bring on board those nominated subcontractors if they have any, right? The consultants, okay, active participation during the different meetings, okay, between the contractors and the consultants and the subcontractors and the key personnel for construction. Timely approval confirmation information as needed. Yeah. So the main contractor will lead the coordination, okay, between the different stakeholders to allow for the physical construction or even the virtual construction, right? Or fully maximize the BIM and VDC to meet the project goals and objective, or bring the BIM to the project site and carry out the digital commissioning. Okay, or subcontractors, they will have to on their own come up with the timely model development, okay, or for their own section, okay, or updates the model for their own part, okay, yeah, or install or fabricate as per final approved model, and the quantity surveyor under this particular stage, okay, they will evaluate the progress claim, okay, assessment of the VOs variation orders. Within the individual companies itself, if they are familiar or they have always been doing a BIM or VDC related project, you'll find that they would set up on their own a BIM centralized support team to support the different projects that the company could be undertaking concurrently. Okay, so within the centralized BIM support team, they will provide all these services, provide training. Okay, training can come in the form of in-house training, individual training plan, and they share the knowledge, okay, that they have gained while supporting all the different projects. Yeah, and they provide resources. Just now we are talking about libraries. Okay, so the company will build up their own library of the objects, okay, for sharing across the different projects. Okay, come up with a BIM template, okay, or put in the guidelines, okay, for implementation, okay, put in what are the corporate standard, okay, the audit checklist, the modeling guidelines, provide technical support, okay, help some of the team members that are new to this VDC or BIM, okay, and sometimes set up the model or set up the system, okay, and also sometimes carry out some research and innovation requirements, yeah. The reality is that in current practice in Singapore, VDC and this BIM, they are not very integrated into the workflow and the functions in a typical company. This is understandable because we are still at the early stages of pushing out this VDC. No doubt BIM has been pushed out for quite a few years. Okay, but in order to fully maximize and assimilate the benefits of BIM and VDC to the best advantage, the whole company must be willing to undergo the necessary restructuring and integration of roles and workflow. And this transformation can be done in stages, okay, as part of a corporate BIM VDC roadmap. For example, the current practice is that the BIM coordinator serves as an information go-to, okay, for extraction of information from the model, okay, as required by the different this project team. But moving forward, okay, it is envisaged where you can have a centralized BIM team provides skills and technical support to aid the project members to utilize the data in a BIM model for their specific use. That means these team members straight away directly interact with the BIM model, okay, rather than make use of the BIM manager as an information manager. Okay, and the other thing that currently is being done is that BIM is a separate entity and role from the designer or coordinator, and that result in a domain knowledge gap. Okay, and moving forward, we want to have one entity combine both BIM and design technical knowledge and utilize the BIM to perform the design or coordinator function.